I just moved into my new condo a few weeks ago, and everything was going great. It's a nice building, quiet neighbors, the usual. Except for one person. Let's call her Nancy. She's the self-appointed queen of the HOA, the Homeowners Association, and she takes her role way, way too seriously. From day one, she was on my case about everything. My welcome mat was apparently the wrong shade of beige. I put up a small decorative wreath on my door, and she sent me a formal violation notice claiming it was a fire hazard. I even got a warning for watering my balcony plants at the wrong time of day. It was getting ridiculous. One day, I decided I'd had enough of her nitpicking. I work from home as a software developer, and a big part of my job involves security systems. So, I decided to upgrade my front door lock. I replaced the standard flimsy lock that came with the apartment with a high-tech smart lock system. It's got a keypad, fingerprint scanner, and it's completely unpickable. I also made sure to change the deadbolt to a heavy-duty commercial grade 1. My front door was now basically a vault. I figured a little extra security never hurts, right? And maybe, just maybe, it would keep unwanted visitors, namely Nancy, from snooping around. A few days later, I was deep into coding, headphones on, completely in the zone. Suddenly, I heard a faint commotion outside my door. I took off my headphones and listened. I could hear someone fumbling with the doorknob, followed by a series of increasingly frustrated grunts. Then, a loud, angry voice I recognized all too well. It was Nancy. "What is wrong with this stupid door? My master key should work on every unit," she shrieked. A master key. I froze. The HOA has a master key to everyone's apartment. That's not just creepy. It's a massive invasion of privacy and a huge security risk. What if that key got lost or stolen? Anyone could just walk into our homes. I crept over to the door and looked through the peephole. Sure enough, there was Nancy, red in the face, jiggling a key in my lock with all her might. She was trying to force her way into my apartment. Unbelievable. She tried the key a few more times, huffing and puffing. Before finally giving up, I watched as she whipped out her phone, her thumb furiously tapping the screen. A moment later, I heard her say, "Yes, I need to report a lockout and a possible uncooperative resident at 456 Oak Avenue. Apartment 4B. The resident has illegally changed their lock, and I can't gain entry for a routine inspection." Routine inspection. There was no scheduled inspection. She was just making that up to justify breaking into my home. The audacity was off the charts. I stood there, listening to her give the dispatcher my apartment number, completely unaware of the irony of the situation. See, before I became a full-time software developer, I worked for a few years as a 911 dispatcher to pay my way through college. Because I liked the work and wanted to give back to the community, I still pick up a few volunteer shifts on weekends. And guess who was on dispatch duty that very afternoon? It was me. My work phone, which I keep on for emergencies, started buzzing. I looked at the screen and saw the familiar dispatch alert. I took a deep breath, put on my best professional dispatcher voice, and answered the call that had been routed to me. 911. "What is your emergency?" I said, trying my best not to laugh. On the other end, I heard Nancy's frantic voice. "Hello, yes. I'm the HOA president at 456 Oak Avenue. The resident in 4B has illegally changed his lock, and I can't get in. He's violating the bylaws." I had to bite my lip to keep from cracking up. This was too perfect. I calmly asked her, "Ma'am, can you confirm your name and the reason you need to enter the apartment?" She huffed. "My name is Nancy, and I'm the president. I need to do a surprise inspection. It's my right." I typed a few notes into the system, mostly just to buy myself some time. "Okay, Nancy," I said, making sure to use a calm, authoritative tone. "And what is the name of the resident in apartment 4B? She sputtered for a second. "I don't know his name. He's new, but that doesn't matter." "Send an officer to force the door open." This was my moment. I leaned closer to the phone. Ma'am, are you aware that without a court order or the resident's explicit permission, forcing entry into a private residence is illegal? Also, HOA bylaws do not supersede state and federal privacy laws. Is there a fire, a flood, or any immediate danger coming from the apartment? There was a dead silence on the other end. I could almost hear the gears turning in her head. Well, no, she stammered. But the rules. The rules, ma'am, do not allow you to break into someone's home, I said, letting a little bit of my own voice slip through the professional dispatcher persona, especially when the resident is, in fact, home. I paused for dramatic effect. Then, I walked over to my front door, unlocked it from the inside, and pulled it open. Nancy was standing there, phone still pressed to her ear, her jaw hitting the floor. Her face went from beet red to ghost white in about half a second. She stared at me, then at the phone in her hand, then back at me. I held my work phone up to my ear and said, in my sweetest dispatcher voice, "Is there anything else I can help you with today, Nancy?" She just stood there, speechless, looking like a deer caught in headlights. Oh, and by the way, I added, pointing to my new lock, this is a legal, high-security lock. The HOA bylaws mention we can't alter the exterior appearance of the door. Nothing about the lock mechanism itself. I read the fine print. She didn't say a word. She just slowly lowered her phone, turned around, and scurried away down the hall without looking back. The next day, there was a notice posted in the lobby. It was an emergency HOA meeting. The topic: review and clarification of resident privacy and entry policies. At the meeting, several other residents spoke up, sharing their own uncomfortable encounters with Nancy and her master key. It turned out I wasn't the only one she'd been bothering. The board was forced to issue a formal apology and immediately change the policy. All master keys were to be stored in a secure lockbox at the management office, only to be used in documented emergencies like a fire or flood, and only with a board member and building staff present. Nancy was stripped of her presidency and her precious master key. I haven't heard a peep from her since. Every now and then, I see her in the hallway, and she just looks at the ground and hurries past. I guess she learned her lesson. Don't mess with the quiet guy in 4B, because you never know who you're really talking to on the other end of the line. Sometimes, a little bit of tech know-how and a well-timed 911 call can solve even the peskiest of problems. Thanks for listening to my story, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.